Welcome to Lifting the Line, a construction contracting podcast. Welcome to Lifting the Line. I'm Andy Shaw from Briggies Network, and today we have Maree.herath from Harvest HR. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. We've got you on the podcast today because HR, recruitment, staffing in construction and almost any industry is probably the most painful aspect of running a business.
There's the notion of if we didn't have to manage people, life would be much simpler.
But that's impossible when you're running a business.
Unless you want to be a solopreneur. So
Exactly.
and
right.
quite often in the construction game, you can only do so much as one person.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as one person, how did you get to where you're at? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I started as one person. So my recruitment and human resources background goes back 30 years. I know I don't look that old. Started very young. And I, first of all, started with a national recruitment firm, and I worked in Melbourne, and I started off as a technical and operations recruiter. So already fell into a discipline, whether it was engineering, manufacturing, construction-based. Those were the typical roles that I was involved in recruiting. And I was fortunate that that company was a national player and then was purchased by an international player. So It gave me the opportunity to go to different geographies. I went to Perth for a while, and that gave me exposure to the resources industry, but also the construction boom in Perth. And then when I went overseas with the company to Hong Kong, I worked in the property and trade area. So different sectors. So it was able to open my world in terms of the different industries out there. And then I made my homecoming to Victoria. It's my home base, and I've been now running my own company for 15 years. So I started as one in the shed where most great businesses start, and grew my business over time. So I had to face the very quick challenge of, do I want to be just myself, or do I want to employ more people? So I took it in little baby steps, and I think as any small company grows, you can take baby steps. So you do start with getting, normally the first hire is someone to help you with admin, someone to help you with accounts. Now, whether that is a bookkeeper that you perhaps contract their services to assist you, but that's usually the first one. If you're out there with your clients doing the work, then your first person is quite often the person in the office. But then as you grow again, you're only one person and you don't really want to work 20 hours a day. So, and as the business grows, you then have to think of replicating yourself. So bringing on another version of you to assist deliver clients or jobs or products and services. And that's where I was at probably 2 years into running my company. I was a solo consultant, providing anything from recruitment and HR support, with one person supporting me. And then we started to grow, and it was beyond what I could do in a given week. And so I was faced with I need to employ a person. And that's when you look at, what do I have? What business systems do I have? What do I need insurance-wise? I've got to pay superannuation now, and I've got to do all of the checks and balances to make sure that I'm providing not only a safe workplace, but the right wage, superannuation, workers' compensation insurance, and other insurances. So in our industry, it's public liability and professional indemnity. But it was just I guess I was like baby step growth, and I think that's probably a nice way to grow, whereas quite often in construction world and for a lot of trades, they are one and then they get something big and they go from 1 to 6 straight away.
Quick.
Like that's several houses, if you like.
Yes.
You might be engaged by a builder of several houses, and then before you know it, you've got a crew of 6, that turns to 12, it turns to 20, and you've grown, and a lot of companies don't know how to perhaps navigate that growth.
And generally don't even think about it before they go, oh, yeah, I just want to start working for myself or start my own business. And then suddenly I'll go and get all this work. And then it's like, oh, shit, I've got to get the work done.
Yeah. Who do you know? Have you got a mate? I need a mate to help me. Yeah. And I guess that's probably how you come into the fold as well, with your connections and contacts to a degree.
To a degree.
It could be a brickies recruitment agency, Andy.
Recruitment in bricklaying is really, really hard. Really, really hard. Just trying to find a bricklayer at the moment is horrendous. And then finding one that fits into your business, that works into your business model, has the skill set of the work that you do, because just because you're a bricklayer, you don't know this. You might know this part of the industry, but you don't know that part of the industry. There's a lot you need to know. And it's probably something that no one in a bricklaying business actually thinks about when they're looking for a bricklayer. They don't go into that detail. They're just, I need someone now. Yeah, for sure.
The job's on. We start Monday. Who have we got?
Absolutely.
With tools, all the equipment ready to go.
Mm-hmm. So when you've gone into, you've grown your business and you started out as that one person, when people come to you to help find new staff for their business, is that a question you ask them? Like, have you thought about your business structure? Who are we actually looking for? How do you delve into that? What's the first step that you do?
Usually we get the call when, like in your industry, for example, so we work with quite a few trades companies as clients, and they've got that client base that's grown, resources that are only finite, and they need more people, and they need more people quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So we will obviously take quite a good brief on what they're looking for. So what is the role? Where will it be? What is the expectation of the individual? And we ask questions about how are things tracking at the moment, and you start to hear what's perhaps not working and what's needed. Mm-hmm. So like when you ask those really quite like just very conceptual questions, which is like, how's it all going? And you start to open up Pandora's box, can of worms, and you see where there's real striking gaps. So a company that we just recently worked for was a company that had been acquired by a bigger group. And so they not only had their own clients, but then they had internal clients as well. So their job sheet quadrupled overnight. Yeah, right. And they said, we need more of this trade. And it became really apparent really quickly that there was the most senior trade and then really just past apprenticeship. And there was such a significant gap. And that most senior trade was to be the GM of this trades business.
Oh, wow.
But he was on the tools. So the umbrella company wanted him to get off the tools, but how can I get off the tools when I've got just junior trades? So when we had a chat to him, we found that this was the issue. We need someone quite capable. It's not just, you've done your trade, apprenticeship, and you're 1 to 2 years out. They really wanted a 6, 7, very experienced tradesperson that then could come in and supervise the other trades on site. So it really, when we're briefing, we try to get the whole picture and not assume. We don't go, insert this bricklaying company, so you'd obviously need this kind of bricklayer. We actually go back to the blank canvas and go, tell us about your business, your needs, your clients, your jobs, because I think assumption in recruitment world is one of your key factors that will probably cause issues down the track. If you assume I need this, or I think it's that, or I'll just go with this individual, 2 out of 10, maybe 2 out of 5 key criteria fulfilled, it's going to be okay. Well, it's not. And you'd rather just unpack what are the must-haves, nice-to-haves, and, if that was there, even better. But really unpack what it is that you're looking for, and then you'll be able to see it as opposed to I just need a body on a site.
Yeah. When you're getting trade businesses especially coming to you, and they're thinking, I just need that guy on site. But do you turn it around and go, okay, well, what's your actual vision for the staff member? Like, are you looking for just someone to fill the hole on site now, or are you looking to build a workforce that's going to be there in 2 or 3 years' time so it's stable, reliable? Then you can add more, or we get someone that wants to go in that direction. Is that where you start? Was that
Yeah,
one of the early
in the
pieces?
industry, it depends on how established the company is and how much repeat business. We
Yeah.
know in the construction sector, you're only almost as good as your last project.
Yeah.
And I've witnessed and I've recruited in the space a lot, and you get a construction company, particularly first, second, third tier construction company, and they'll go, oh, why is there a gap in this person's resume, or why have they jumped, and they're jumping too much? And it's because, well, that contractor didn't get the next piece of work. So it's either I'm unemployed or I jump ship to the next contractor.
Yeah.
And I think that goes right down through the trades as well, where you may, and I think most companies, they want to have the sustainability, but it's never guaranteed.
Yeah.
So you can say in an ideal world, I want that person to come on the journey. And I think we all do. We want that person to start, develop, grow, we grow, they get promoted perhaps to, a site supervisor, perhaps, project manager, contracts manager. It might be, depending on how big your business grows. We all have that ideal, but if we've only got a certain amount of work, that person might always just be the brickie.
Yeah.
And so if you think, we're going to have the constant work, we might just want the brickie that just wants to be a brickie.
Yeah.
And just be a stable brickie.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, well, and that's from my experience dealing with bricklaying business owners, that's generally what they're looking for. Like, a lot of the time they're the business owner, but they're also the leading hand and the operation manager on the job. So they own the business, but they're the operations manager. They might want to be stepping away from that, so they've probably got to replace themselves as an operations manager on site. But most of the staff they're looking for are bricklayers that just want to stay and be a bricklayer. That's generally what they're looking for. But I think a lot of them don't put much effort into securing the right person that wants to be that stay bricklayer at the start. That's what I'm noticing in the industry at the moment.
We have a client right now, and that person is the senior project manager as well as being the director of a trades company.
Yep.
And guess what he's recruiting? He's recruiting the senior project manager because he wants to step away.
Yep.
And we've been working on this assignment longer than normal. Normally our assignments are done and dusted anywhere between 2 and 6 weeks. And I said, you're the only client we didn't fill that briefed us in the first quarter of this year.
Wow.
And we reflected on it. And because they're growing, they've now got over 200 staff. So they've got quite a few trades in their company. What they were finding is they still do anything from quite small jobs to more in that sort of semi-commercial, small commercial space as well. So they could have anything from several thousand to a couple of million in terms of their project budget, and lots of volume. What we found is that project management expertise is usually in the business owner, right?
100%.
And so who's the business owner that's going to want to now fall under the umbrella of being an employee?
Yep.
And sometimes the ones that do, and there's justifiable reasons. For example, they're working for a bigger builder. That bigger builder hasn't paid them. They've fallen on financial challenge, and they have to get employed now.
Yes.
And so there's some really great justifiable reasons for a business owner to now come into a company that's a larger trades company. But that's what we reflected, was that's probably the person.
Yeah.
Because if they've come from perhaps something or somewhere bigger than them, and they are currently a senior project manager, is their work going to be as challenging and rewarding if they've come from perhaps a company bigger than them. So we were actually reflecting that skill set does tend to rest with a business owner. But
100%.
when we said, well, we've got this group of tradespeople, and they go, they're kind of leading hands. I'm like, yeah, I know, they're kind of leading hands. And they felt there was this massive gap between the leading hand and a senior project manager.
Yeah.
But the epiphany came that they said, you know what we have to do? We have to build our own people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that was a really good result, even though there was a lot of complexities to the recruitment assignment. They've now identified a leading hand who's been with them for 2 years, been really solid, and they're going to take that person on the career progression journey.
Yeah.
So he's going to move into a junior project manager role.
Yep.
They're going to backfill his role with the senior trade to go into leading hand. And what that does is some amazing things from a culture and employee benefit of working for this company. They're not seeing someone parachute in and, we've got a new senior PM or a site manager.
Yeah.
And the people along the line go, who is this?
Yeah.
And then that person parachutes in, parachutes out, and they're still being the loyal employee on site. So there's warrant to the conversation, and it's worthy to actually check in with the staff and go, where do you want to be? Do you want to just be that stock standard, turn up to work, bricklayer, or do you have other, goals that you want to achieve in your career? And can we help you? Because they might go on the journey with you, stay instead for 2 years, 5 years, they might stay for 10, and they might flip out and go their own direction and start their own company, which you've given them the skills to do so. But also you've got so much more benefit over time by taking them on the journey.
Yeah, for sure. When you're telling me that story and putting that picture together, I'm envisioning back when I had my bricklaying business, I struggled for that leading hand. I was always struggling. We had a few guys come out, and I ended up selecting those guys with the profound knowledge that did run their own business once but didn't want to do it anymore, which was great. They came in and they knew how to do everything on the job and they had great experience. But I also found that they brought in their bad habits as well and like some culture problems that they had in their own business, and they would bring them in. And I actually had to put in some really heavy standard operating procedures that, no, we don't do it this way. I don't care if you used to do it this way. Our customers expect the way we do it. This to be done. Is that going to be okay with you? Because if you're not doing it, no one else will do it. You have to lead, and you have to lead what we used to do when I was running it. That was problematic, and it was something I really had to monitor. But when I got a perfect one, it was so easy. It was so easy. I could actually just turn up for an hour in the morning and go home and go back an hour at night just to make sure everything was on track. But really during the day, what was happening on site was taken care of.
Well, if you've got the right one, they've got the business owner's mindset.
Yes, exactly
and
right.
I think as directors of our own company, we actually want employees that have a business owner's mindset, because they'll work like you work in terms of your commitment to your business and your customers.
When I'm thinking about that, it's hard to get to train that in a short period of time. But I think when we go and employ people, and correct me if I'm wrong, if this is something that you think about or you talk about when you're recruiting people for businesses, do you talk to the business owner about the cost of turning staff over if you don't get it right? Because there's a huge financial cost in that.
Yeah, it can be anything from $30,000 to over $100,000, depending on the business and depending on what energy, effort, resources are spent on the training and development of staff members. So, yeah, we liken it to when somebody buys a new car. If you are looking for a new car, you start your research piece and you go, what sort of car do I want? Okay, you start to land on, the make, the model, you test drive. You go, oh, that's not the car I want. Do you go a little bit to the left or the right? And then you start to, look, research, test drive. What do we do when we recruit?
Yeah.
Do we research? Do we test? Do we consider? All of those things tend to get lost in a lot of recruitment exercises. And a car can cost us upwards of 50, 150,000. A worker costs upwards of 50 to 150,000. Like if you think of all the other benefits or, the tools of the trade that they need, you're spending the same.
Yeah.
And what research are you doing, and what consideration, validation are you doing when you're recruiting?
Yeah.
And I think when you put it in that context, you go, right, yep, it's a significant investment. And if I have to do it again, take away the lost time, take away, the input costs in training and developing people, I'm doing it again. So I'm not just spending that amount of money. I'm probably spending double, triple. So to get it right first time is such a gift, but it's about doing the right work up front so that you are going to get the right outcome. I was having a discussion with a client just this week, and when we were doing some of this work, we uncovered some of the people that had worked for them before, and they'd come in and gone, and they said, they weren't the right person because of X, Y, Z. And I said, look, we're at the stage where we really want to provide you with some really great screening, interviewing, and verifying skills so that you can see through a great application, that you can see through perhaps a very good interview, that you're actually doing that real critiquing of, is this the right person? Because I don't know if bricklayers do it, but in certain roles, AI is a gift. So ChatGPT and resume writing, you can get a ChatGPT resume done very easily that can make you look the goods.
Yeah.
And so now the resume is no longer the number one considering factor to actually move to placement. The interview is more important now.
Yeah.
And companies can have interview guides, which are templates, which is a really good start because then you're doing a consistent interview. So consistency is key, not, I'll ask you these 3 questions and I'll ask you different 3 questions.
Yeah.
Like, what's my platform of which I'm going to consider if someone's right or not right for the job? So that's a great start. But then is the consideration when you're hearing an answer and you go, that doesn't make sense. Like, you're putting your lens on it as an expert in your field, or there's a warning bell. Yep. And quite often we just want to rush through an interview and go, right, we tick that box, move through, ticked another box, move through. Yep. But I think the actual gold is when you have those times and you stop on that part of the interview and go, sorry, can you just unpack that a little bit more for me? Or what was the issue? Let's talk about your peers, who you're working with, who the client was, because quite often when people leave a site and the job's not finished, it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened? And if you can unpack that at interview, that's the start to really getting to the next level of addressing suitability of a person.
Yep.
Throw in reference checking, and they say there's no such thing as a bad reference check, which 80% of the time you probably say yes.
Yep.
But again, scrutiny in a reference check is really key as well. Going, just intrigued, Joe left the site. What was the situation there?
Yeah.
And allow for the pauses and allow for the uncomfortable silence.
Yeah.
And only make the decision when you're satisfied that either at interview or at reference checking, any concerns that you've had have been allayed.
Yeah.
Or confirmed, and you don't move forward.
Yeah. I always love the reference checking part of it because I find that's really where you get the gold. And I'm a big fan of asking, especially because everyone handpicks their referees. If you're asking someone for a referee, they've already rang the person up. If it's a bloke that they worked for, they've already rang the bloke up and said, "Oh, I'll put you down as a referee. Can you give me a good reference?" But then you, as the potential employer, you've got to really investigate that and sort of ask the right questions. I always love asking. So, if you had a position open in your business, would you put this guy back on?
Would you re-employ them?
Would you re-employ him? And a lot of them would go, "Oh, yeah. Well, let me put it this way. Out of 10, give me a number, would you employ him?" And they go, "Oh, an 8. Well, that means there's 20% chance you wouldn't re-employ him. What's going on with that 20%? What bothered you with them?"
And it could be a development need. So could be an area where the challenge that they've had wouldn't exist in your workplace. And we had a situation where a referee was probably, I would say the reference check was moderately okay. Wasn't glowing.
Yeah.
And you'd say to the candidate, "I need another reference," because we always take up 2 references, and if one's not sound, we ask for a third
one. Yeah, right.
because we need to get the theme. Is the theme overarching positive or overarching we've got an issue here?
Yep.
And with that referee, there was a personality clash, and you could hear it because it was like, well, probably not for us. It's like, well, this candidate had been with your company for 5 years. Why is this just come up now? And you got to again go, well, and that's an art to be able to go, is it the candidate? Is it the manager?
Yeah.
Is it the 2 of you together? So in that situation, we were recruiting only for a contract. So it's really just someone to come in, do some work for a period of time.
Yeah.
And in that situation, the person doesn't have to be the overarching cultural vision, mission, values fit. They just need to do the job until they get the ongoing permanent person. So they did have the technical skill to do the job, so they got placed as a contractor. So we could take away all of those perhaps didn't fit within this other company's culture, but is okay to do some contract work. And then it will remain to be seen if that person stays on with this new company or goes on to another contract opportunity.
Yeah. But in residential bricklaying, where I play most of my time, a lot of bricklayers, they just advertise for a bricklayer on a Facebook page or maybe in another chat group or something like that. It's usually around that area, which is the modern day version of the newspaper article or the newspaper headline or whatever that you put in. But most of the guys go, bricklayer wanted, full-time work, X amount of money, or good pay in the western suburbs. I'm like, you set yourself up for disaster here.
Well, it's a start.
It's a start, yeah.
It's like putting in the fish and chip shop.
Yeah, in the fish and chip shop in the window.
Yeah.
So if you were a recruiting tradesman, is that where you would start, or would you go to more detail in the advertisement to start with? What sort of wording would you put in?
There's argument for the Facebook groups and like the old trading posts they are. And we always say go where that group gather.
Yeah.
So if they are on the trades and services pages of Facebook or Facebook Marketplace, it's not a bad place to collate them.
Yep.
And other tradies are looking at it. So they'll go Fred, Bob, Peter, Mick, whoever, and they'll start putting the names of the people they know in their network. So there is argument for just the short, sharp and shiny. We are always told by our job boards, and we work with Seek as a strong job board for us in the work we do. Every time they're saying everyone's attention is getting shorter and shorter. So the advertisement that is wordy people aren't looking at. So
right.
there's actual merit to really quick.
Yeah, wow.
We've got it. We need a brickie in this suburb doing this job because they'll go bang, 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 tick, tick, tick. That's the basics of what I need to know.
Yep.
But something that is getting a lot of traction is video.
Yeah, right.
Video, because that whole picture tells 1,000 words. Well, a video tells more. And, well, case in point, here we are. So, you could do this podcast audio and somebody could be playing it in the car and they get the audio version, but they don't get what you're conveying in a podcast. People get to know you, they get to know your speakers, and there's more personality attached to that. Similarly, videos on the workplace. You're going to be working with Andy. Andy goes, "G'day," and this is the site. And it's so easy now with the phone. You can just video it.
Yeah.
And just go, tradie, throw in the video or throw in your Facebook page with videos, and then you're going to the next order. So you're going to get the people that are going to self-select that I like this place. I like how they work. I like how they get along with each other.
Yep.
They'll see how clean your site is.
Yeah.
I like how they've got that really good housekeeping of their site. It shows that they're a really good employer.
Yeah.
Vans around, where the equipment is, how much material is, how much you dispose of. How well people are kitted out in safety gear.
Yeah.
They'll pick up all of those things on video. And so if you have the Facebook marketplace or trades and services post, throw in your Facebook page and start doing video. That's the next order of attraction. And you can start to have people self-select in or self-select out based on what you show. Because if you've got the, a little bit not as, complimentary to sort of your workplace individual that's looking at the job, they'll go, "Oh, I'm not going to fit there."
Yeah.
So,
That's
it goes both
a really
ways.
Good point. Yeah, I was actually talking to a guy the other day and he said that he's got a great Facebook page and he's really active on social media, but he goes, half of this is for potential new clients, but really the biggest part of having my Facebook page is it shows potential new employees what we're all about and they might want to come and work for us. That's actually another way of looking at it, complete game changer. But actually to have like a video inviting people to come along and work for you or come along and put in an application, this is what's going to be there. I've actually never seen that in a bricklayer. I'm going to recommend that to all of my members to start doing that because that could increase your application by 50%.
100%. It would. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, little tips and tricks of how the industry is moving, but everyone wants to pick something up on their phone, and if they have to do one of those, you've lost them.
Yeah.
One, like if your information is beyond what's going to sit on a phone, they'll click on a link or they'll do a little bit of a jump over to your Facebook. But if you have to do anything more than that, there's no need. There's no need to do it. I've come from having to write reams of information about my clients. So it's still learning for me is to keep it short, keep it simple and just headlines.
Yeah, unreal.
Because quite often we are going to our database and we use volume SMS messaging. And again, you've got to almost capture it in 180 characters. That's it. That's all you got. It's about 2 paragraphs. No. 4 lines of a text message.
Yeah, right.
So you've got to get the credibility of remember us, we're Harvest, and we've got this client and we've got this job.
Yeah,
and
right.
one call to action so that they'll reply, yes, please call me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have long.
Yeah. Absolutely. Probably the other thing that we're finding in bricklaying, which with guys that are looking to recruit people or put on a new bricklayer, is I'm a bricklayer. How much you paying? How can potential employers tackle that question? Because it's really, really difficult to just go, there's no more information about the person. Yes, I'm a bricklayer, but how much are you paying? And they're really worried, well, this might not go even any further, even if I say a number that that doesn't suit their
Desires.
anchor point
Yep,
or
yep.
in their mind. Yeah.
I would say there's no way to change that rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
If someone's coming from a numbers, like that's their biggest value,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to change it. That's their number one motivation.
Yep.
And it's probably why they're leaving their current employer.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep.
I'm getting 38, are you going to pay me 40 an hour?
Yeah.
And they'll go for that. They'll
Yep.
move for $2 more
Mm-hmm.
an hour. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no getting away from that at the moment. We're in a cost of living crisis
Mm-hmm.
currently, 2025. We've been in it since 23.
Yeah, 100%.
And so like the actual money exchange is like right up there in like number one motivation to actually gain a job or move to another job. So you can't, as an employee, you've just got to accept, they will probably have some certain struggles that they need to uplift their salary by $2, $3, $5, $10 an hour, and just respect that that's where they're coming from. And it's really just be open and transparent, and you'll either know whether you're, and if you're on the award, you'll know that you're just playing at the same level, playing field.
Yeah.
If you're above the award, then you've got something more that you can offer them. But quite often it's like if you're paying an award or if they're on an award with a current employer and you're paying the award, it's the same thing. And they'll go, oh, okay, thanks. Hang on. You're going to get that. But I don't know in your network if your companies are paying just against the award or if they're paying above award wages.
Yeah, it's really different across the board. So in bricklaying, it's just been the case for the last 20 years that 75% of all people that are employed in bricklaying are employed as an ABN contractor on an hourly rate. So they don't even think about the award a lot of the time. It's usually, how much are you paying me per hour? Yep. Or the other side of it is the employer goes, we pay you $50 an hour on an ABN as a contractor and you have to pay all your entitlements out of that. That's how we pay out our business. So in bricklaying, especially in the residential sector, there's not a lot of people that employ qualified workers full-time. Maybe some paying casual now because of the employment law changes that came in last year, but still most of the industry are probably running non-compliant and working at employing all their guys as cascading ABN contracts.
Yeah.
No.
And it's still one of those grey areas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no black or white in it. And I was, leading up to today, I was looking at situations where companies have been done for what's called sham contracting.
Yep.
So that's where they've put everyone on ABN subcontractor arrangements, and they've in fact been or deemed to be employees.
Yep.
But some companies get done, some companies don't.
Yep.
And so it is still, it's a multi-factor assessment that the courts do on, are you a subcontractor or are you an employee?
Yeah.
And those that are continuously working for one company and where that company is directing the work that they do, and that company really is not allowing them to do any other work beyond the work for that company. So they don't have any other companies that they do bricklaying for.
Yeah.
We're starting to get into the employee category. So we're controlling the work.
Yep.
We have you continuously working for us and our clients. You're pretty much on full-time now, like day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year.
Yep.
They're the ones that are going to be more inclined to be deemed by the courts as employees.
Yeah, 100%.
But bricklayers often bring own car, own tools, own equipment, own PPE. And also they would potentially have their own, well, of course they'd have their own or expect to have their own insurances as well. And these areas start to head towards, and they are a qualified trades person.
Yes.
Those 5 elements actually stand up a subcontractor.
Yes.
As long as that subcontractor is promoting their business to other builders or bricklaying companies, and probably does some other work for other places as well. So say they work with yourself on, this residential build for the next 3 months, and then they go away and work for another bricklayer for their residential build for a month, and then they come back to you for 6 months, and then they go somewhere else for some other work.
Yes.
They're the ones that can still be seen as the subcontractor because they're not just purely working for you.
And they're not just providing labour for the exchange of money. They're providing services.
That's right. Yep. So there's it's called a contract for services, and you're the principal and they're the subcontractor, or a contract of employment, and it's even called a contract of services. So contract for, contract of, contract for, subcontractor, contract of, employee.
Yeah.
And you can just have just these finite changes in terms, and you're now saying, I've actually got an employee, not a subcontractor.
Yeah.
So I looked up some areas where companies had been done for sham contracting, and there was one with a company called Link Hill Proprietary Limited. They were ordered to pay $313,500 to employees because they were deemed employees, and they were engaging them as subcontractors with their own ABN and underpaying them. So like you said, your situation, I'll put you on your own ABN, I'll pay you $50 an hour. Now, is that above the award? Yes, it is. How much more above the award? If it's above the award and it allows them to cover their employment costs, then we're okay. But if we're starting to get closer to the award or under the award and you've got to pay for your own bits and bobs, you're underpaying this subcontractor.
Yes.
So that's why they got done for damages, because the number, whatever it was, that they were paying these tradespeople that they wanted to be ABN subcontractors was less than probably what they would have got as employees. That's why one of the reasons why they had to pay damages.
Yep.
But the actual reason, and they said it's not a clear legal decision. It was deemed that the workers did not have control over the manner in which the work was to be performed. The workers could not delegate the work to others. So, for example, if you said, I'm engaging you as my bricklayer, and it's like, well, sorry, I'm on another job, I'm going to bring another bricklayer in, I'm a subcontractor.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, it's you and only you, and you can't delegate.
Yes.
You start to become an employee.
Exactly right.
And then the workers only performed work for Link Hill.
Yes.
So those were the 3 factors. So they didn't do the whole shopping list of are you a employee or are you a subcontractor, but those were enough to be deemed as employees.
Yeah.
And they had all different trades. They had plumbers, electrical, carpentry, and labour services. So all of that group of people that were put on ABN subcontract arrangements were deemed employees. But then I had another one, and these are all on, if you go to best resource for a company owner, if they go, what have I got, contractor, employee, is the Fair Work website. It's fairwork.gov.au. And you can just type something into the search field. You can type in sham contracting. You can type in closing the loop legislation,
Absolutely,
and it can just give you the information. But there was this other case in WA which was with a recruitment agency. So I thought, well, I'm interested in that one because I've got to determine, am I engaging people for subcontract or are they employees?
Yep.
But this recruitment agency was providing labour and trades for a commercial builder in Western Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And they told a 22-year-old backpacker from the UK who was looking for work, and he'd done a bit of bricklaying in the UK, that he needs to get his own ABN and be a subcontractor. And he was, but then they terminated him, and then he went for action through the union to say, no, I was an employee and I'm due payment of like holiday and leave entitlements, etc. It went to a first round court and then to a full court. And they deemed he was a subcontractor because the balance of the argument went towards the subcontractor arrangement. And one of the key documents that they looked at, they had what's called an administrative services agreement, and it's referred to as an ASA. And in that agreement, it mentioned multiple times, you're a contractor. You're a contractor, you're a subcontractor.
Yep.
You are to provide labour services to our clients. They did not direct this person. It was the host. It was the actual construction company that directed this person. But that construction company had no contract over this individual either. But they had a really strong services agreement that said you're a contractor, you're providing labour.
Yeah, right.
And so there was a few things of, for a 22-year-old, do I actually have my own business? Did I want to have my own business? Probably not. But the balance still went towards he's a subcontractor based on this really watertight contract services agreement.
Yeah, right.
And it had, what we warrant as the company, what you warrant as the contractor.
Yeah.
And I think if you have some really strong messaging as well, not just get your own ABN and invoice us weekly, which I'm pretty sure how it would be done.
That's exactly how it gets done.
Get some really good service agreements to back it up.
Yep.
And then you can say that, this person is actually heading towards and more a subcontractor.
Yeah.
So I was going, wouldn't it be great if I could come in as the expert and go, yep, it's closing the loop and they're all employees, but it's not that easy.
Yeah, that's the thing. And well, I think one thing that I'd love you to be able to clarify, and you might be able to clarify this, and I think it's a black and white answer because it says on the ATO website, if you're a trainee, a labourer, an apprentice, or a trades assistant, they can never be a contractor. They always have to be an employee.
Yep. And I would say we're 90% yes. But this case in point, the work that he was doing was taking out bins, general cleaning on site. He was the labourer. He was the TA.
Yeah.
So he was not actually a skilled employee. But because the contract was so strong around you're providing labour services as a contractor, this one was held up. This case was by the union, Construction, Forestry, Maritime, Mining and Energy Union versus Personnel Contracting Proprietary Limited. The date is 2020. So the law might have changed since then because I'm pretty sure your information from ATO is subsequent to 2020.
Yeah, well, that's on the ATO website and it's also listed on the Fair Work Ombudsman's website that a labourer cannot be under. And so
because you're directing them.
Yeah.
You're directing an apprentice,
exactly right,
a trainee, a labourer. Yeah. They're not in control of the work they do. And that's one of the number one definitions. To be considered an employee, the employer exercises or has the right to exercise control over the manner in which the work is performed.
Yes.
Tell me an apprentice, a TA, will direct their own work. You have to direct, you have to supervise.
You've got to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And if they're working for you as a labourer, you're telling them to turn up at 7:00 in the morning. you're telling them that lunchtime's at 11 or whenever you call it or whoever the supervisor calls it, knock-offs at this time. Like they've got no control over how they do the work or where they do the work. Yeah, absolutely. So
Correct.
Yeah, so they're 100% an employee. And that's probably the big thing. In residential bricklaying, it's been a very easy way of employing people as an ABN contractor. It's very easy to employ that. It's just give me an invoice, I'll pay you the money. But if you're just employing them saying, start at 7, we're at that job over there, bring your bucket of tools. You say you might have a trowel. So you are bringing some tools, but they're really just tools to actually hand tools. And under an award, you would get paid a tool allowance for that. Then you're working employee-like. You're not actually a contractor. All of those things, you could try and manipulate it and work around it. But if you're actually presenting to that person, I'm coming you to work, I'm asking you to come and work as an employee, but I'm telling you you're a contractor, under the definition, that's sham contracting, black and white. If you're representing to an employee that they're a contractor, well, then you're misleading that person. So yeah, it's a very, it used to be very, very grey. Now it's
still grey.
Still a little bit grey.
It's still grey. Yeah. And I don't know if there's another precedent since this.
There is. There is some more precedents. I'm actually working with Fair Work in the background at the moment.
There you are.
We're listed on the Fair Work Ombudsman website as the Bricklayers Association Australia. So we have a lot to do with that.
And this one is on fairwork.gov.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yep.
And how are your network of bricklayers approaching the move from subcontracting to employee? What's the biggest challenge you're finding?
The employers are like, well, if that's what I've got to do, that's what I've got to do. And really, like, if you were paying someone $50 an hour and super was included and work cover was included, well, then the person's still getting paid the same amount of money, effectively. You're just going to pay their superannuation for them. You're going to pay their workers' compensation for them, and you're going to withhold their tax now, where the other person had the ability. The employers are like, I don't really want to change, but, it's a bit more administration work and we've got to be on top of timesheets and things like that a bit more instead of having an invoice given to them. They're like, okay, we'll deal with that. The massive resistance is the employees. The massive resistance is that, well, you used to give me $2,000 a week into my bank account. Now you're only giving me $1,200 and $1,250. You're ripping me off. I'm not going to work for you and you're not going to be, because you want to be compliant, I'm going to leave you and I'm going to go over to the other guy that's still prepared to pay me as a sham contracting arrangement, which sucks for that guy that's employed because he's put a lot of work into training those guys in his business, put a lot of effort into them. But also the other guy down the road, he's now got an advantage over the other business because he's got his workers, he's got all his talent, So it's a very sore point, or it's a very raw topic in construction at the moment. But also but bricklaying especially, because that's the way nearly everyone's employed. So there's some massive changes.
And I think for that very qualified bricklayer, there is still the subcontractor avenue if managed appropriately. If you look at the checklist of like, okay, if I just have Andy for me, I'm heading towards sham contracting.
Yeah.
But if I allow Andy, hey Andy, why don't I help you set up your own website and your own business stuff, and like perhaps like we've got this job, it's coming to a close, but in my Brickies network, I've got someone else that you can assign your like time to, 4 weeks, whatever, and have a little bit of a break in proceedings.
Yep.
That you can still work with your qualified bricklayers to, allow them to have their cake and eat it too. Because, you don't want to be trading out to someone who's, the dodgy sham contractor. Employer. But there's still a lot, and I was looking at the award, and they said this is still under review, the Builders Award, because there's some challenges in your sector. And so they're saying that it's still under review. And I was like, well, what's under review? Is it the contractor versus employee piece under review? What's under review? So there's still some work being done at Fair Work around this.
Yeah, it is.
And so those individuals that, yes, I was taking home $2,000, but guess what? They weren't paying into super.
Yeah.
And a self-employed person can decide if they do or don't want to contribute. No one's going to get to them if they don't contribute to super. And now you, as the employer, are contributing and building up this nest egg for them, which they just took the $2,000. And now you're like, well, $2,000, take your soon to be 12% super.
Yeah.
I'm putting that into your super fund and growing your retirement nest egg. Again, bricklayers might not be looking that far into the future. But once they're 40, 50 and they've been taking the money and putting it all on great house and great tool of the trade truck or van or ute or whatever it might be, and the other pieces which they might be claiming as their own business owner, but they're heading towards wanting to start to get off the tools. Something's wearing out, and then they start to look at their super and they go, "Oh, I haven't paying it. I've got nothing.
I've got nothing.
Yeah, I've got nothing."
This
and
happens
so
a lot in bricklaying.
Yeah, because our bodies wear out, and then it's like, okay, well, what's retirement going to look like for me?
Yep.
And then you like that, super, like the guaranteed super fund that that the government established so many years ago allows us to start to head towards, well, I'm not going to be a pensioner. I'm going to be able to have something in my retirement fund. But if you've been that ABN subcontractor thinking like, make the money, make hay while the sun shines, so to speak, then you're not going to have that nest egg grow. And those are bigger conversations. It's like anything around insurance and superannuation. It's the topics nobody wants to talk about at a dinner table. They're just like, how to turn off like the crowd very quickly is talk about one of those two topics. And is that the time? I've just got to go. But they're important conversations to have. And even as an employee, there's some great benefits around packaging a vehicle. You bring down your overall, income by like you do a salary packaging to vehicle. And so instead of paying this amount of tax, you're paying the lesser amount of tax. And as you said, as an employee, you may provide the tools, but we're going to give you an allowance for those tools now. So you're not paying for them all yourself, or we're contributing to you bringing your tools to site. You're going to get meal allowance if you work a bit longer. We're going to give you a uniform. So there's all those things that no longer are coming out of that 2,000. They're coming out of the employer's
exactly.
So,
exactly right.
And it's just education around pluses and minuses. We had a cement company, so they had cement truck drivers, and they weren't. Some were ABN, but most of them were casuals. But it's the same deal. Like when you're a casual, you get a premium. For being casual.
You're loading,
Yeah, you get 25% is industry standard. So instead of 40 an hour, I'm getting 50 an hour. But I'm not getting sick leave. I'm not getting annual leave. I'm not getting, like public holidays paid. But when this company came to convert, because the first casual conversion legislation was the employer, if you're heading towards 12 months of service, the employer has to offer it to the casual employee. It's changed now and I'm not sure how many know that, the casual now has to ask the employer. So it's actually the responsibility is now on the casual employee to ask to be converted. But these people were 10, 20 years casual, and all they saw was the high number of I get 50 an hour, I'm going down to 40. So again, it was, but you now have leave, you can now have time. But again, they saw the money.
Yeah.
And so that was a challenge and a hurdle.
Yeah.
But as an employer, all you had to do was at the 12-month mark, offer it.
Yeah.
They didn't have to accept it. But as
Yeah.
long as you've got like the, documentation that we offered it, they chose not to accept and they've continued on as a casual. Because what can happen after a casual leaves, think a 10-year casual employee that has been working either permanent part-time, 20 hours a week, full-time, 38, 40 hours a week. If they've been doing it for 10 years, 11 years could be claimed like I want my pay for my leave and my entitlements if no party asked for permanency or asked to go permanent.
Yeah, right.
So if like back when the legislation first came out, if the employer didn't ask and they continued on and they left, they could actually take the employer for unpaid leave.
Yep.
But now, because it's on the employee, they can't go, well, you didn't offer it to me, so now you've got to back pay me my leave.
Yeah.
Because it's now on the employee to ask for it.
And
it's a complex landscape.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's something in there that if you've got under 20 employees, you have no obligation to actually give them full-time either. But if you've got over 20 employees and they ask to be put on full-time, there's an obligation you have to.
Yeah, there's a few caveats for small business and small employers. Same with dismissal claims. If you're a smaller employer, your employee can't take an unfair dismissal claim on you.
Yeah, yeah. So if I just go back to the contracting thing a little bit, so if this was a situation that was coming up and you were helping with recruitment of staff and that sort of stuff, how would someone go about getting an ironclad agreement to be putting towards contractors?
I would highly recommend you get an employment lawyer.
Yep.
I
thought you'd say that, and I would agree.
I work in HR and recruitment. I'm not a lawyer. I see a lot of contracts and I could probably go, I could provide a template.
Yep.
But if you want it watertight, engage a lawyer. They're called employment relations, workplace relations lawyers. Go for one of those. Don't go for generalist lawyer. Go for a specialist workplace or employment relations lawyer.
Yeah.
There are employer groups and employer associations such as Victorian Chamber and AIG, and they do have templates which are a good, I would say, starting point because they're also written by lawyers in the background.
Yeah.
But if you want something that's really specific and tailored for what you want, you could start like 2/3 of the work through a template and then bring the lawyer in to do the final, like, this is watertight and it would stand up in a court of law agreement.
Exactly, because I've had a few bricklayers come to me about that and go, oh, yeah, but I can put them on as a contractor. And I'm going, you're treading a really fine line. What you're telling me, I know you're employing them an employee like. That's just the general way we do things. If you're wanting to go down that line and try and continue it, I would get heavy legal advice on it because if you get it wrong, you could lose everything if it goes pear-shaped. If you've got a lot of guys working for, if you've got 5 or 6 guys or maybe 10 guys working for you and they're all deemed to be being employed the wrong way, you're in the crosshairs
we
big
saw
time.
That case was, just shy of $500,000. Do you have $500,000 in your pocket that you could just front up for a fine from Fair Work if you were found to be non-compliant and not doing the right thing? You just don't want to face that. You want to. I think for an employment lawyer, you're probably going to be somewhere from $5,000 to $10,000 out of pocket for a review, but that's like
better than losing 500.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we have employment contracts that we supply at Bricky's Network, which are just a standard employment contract for a casual or a full-time employee, which is fine. They're an employee, and we do have a subcontractor agreement, but that's for a bricklaying business contracting out the whole job to another bricklaying business. Guys go, oh, you sell a subcontractor agreement. I go, whoa. It's not what you're thinking it is. Yeah. This is for contracting a whole project out, and this protects you. So it's a contractor in place. It's not for you with your employee like contractors. That's not what it is. Don't think that's what it is.
And I liken it to when I was talking about the start of my business, the first thing you get is the bookkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
That bookkeeper is not solely doing bookkeeping for me. They run a business. They've got a multitude of clients.
Of course.
And so that's an engaged contractor to harvest.
Yes.
Like yours, if you were to engage a bricklaying business, they've got other clients that they're doing bricklaying work for, but you're in overload, so you've got to package it all up and go, no, now you come in and help us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you might have some things around non-compete clauses because you don't want to sell the farm, so to speak. So you might have a bricklaying business do a piece of work for one of your very loyal clients, and then that bricklaying business goes, oh, they've got a bit of a pipeline of work. Thanks, Andy, for that introduction. So you probably want a few clauses around, how that journey goes with your client.
That happens to me when I run a bricklaying business.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got in some other guys that I knew really, really well. They were friends. Said, I can't do this job. Can you do that job for me? Yeah, no worries. It came through me. I paid them. And then there was the next section of the job and they'd gone behind me to the client. And I came back to them and I said, you will never get one better piece of work out of me. That is just unethical. But it happens all the time. So now in my subcontractor agreements, lock them up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we still try to umbrella if we've engaged a subcontractor. So that means we enter into the agreement with our client and we have the subcontracted to us.
Yes.
We don't match them.
Yes. 100%.
And that's how you can keep control.
Yeah.
I had a consulting company where they were subject matter experts in what the client wanted. They got the work and I got a nice book. That was nice. I got a book to say thank you. And I think their piece of work, 60 to 100,000.
Yeah.
And so you learn your lessons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And everything is a lesson, isn't it, when you're running a business? Yeah.
But I was thinking, how's your network in terms of have they all got finance systems and those sorts of things? So if they are sort of moving towards employing staff, have they got software? How do they manage their staff?
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I'm glad you've asked, Maree, because we've actually just in the last 2 months, Bricky's network have taken all of our IP and all of our pre-populated documents, as in WorkSafe procedures, toolbox procedures, variations, all of those sorts of things, timesheet templates, and we've partnered with an organisation called Neo Intelligence, and we've built, from what we can gather, the first bricklaying business operations management system in the world.
That's fantastic.
So bricklayers now have full control of scheduling on site, allocating staff to those projects. All of those staffs fill out a timesheet on their app, and that all not only marries back to actual costings of labour on their projects, but that can all be uploaded into their Xero to have pre-pop, and it fills out the timesheets within Xero, and all they have to do is approve their timesheet.
Good. Because usually that's a big barrier when we move from we've engaged all of our people as subcontractors and moving to employees is the administrative burden, as you say.
Yeah.
Okay, we've now got payment that we have to do. We have to run a payroll. How do we run a payroll? We've got timesheets. We've got, employment files. We've got to have all of their documentation now, whereas before it was I'm engaging Andy and I don't need to know much about Andy except for your bank account when you put your invoice in. Now I need to know your doctor, your next of kin. I need to have your superannuation details and I need all of that information. So, and quite often that's the reservation to growth is it's just like I'm going to start to be not profitable because I'm going to be spending all of this time in administration and then I'm stopped. Like it's eating away my margin in my revenue.
Yep.
And so fantastic.
Yeah, well,
Neo Intelligence.
Neo Intelligence has been a fantastic partnership that we've put together. But also our members, when they come on as a business member, we have a full onboarding employment file that we go, here you go, here's the email template, here's all the documents that you need to add to that email and all the things that they need to fill out for you. You can just send one email to the employee before they start, tell them you need all that information back before they come on site, and you have all of that information ready to upload. Because a lot of the time what happens with bricklayers, when they put them over to wages or they put someone on wages, they start them before they've even received any of their information. So we've got a full employee onboarding pack that they can just send out, and it's got all those. If they're a casual, it's got their casual employment guideline that they have to have from Fair Work, their superannuation forms, all of those sorts of things, all in it, all in one place. And then you can it's easy to onboard a staff member into your operating system, into payroll, if you've got all the data there in one hit. It only takes a few minutes, but if you're having to ring them up, chase this, ring them up, chase that, it's a nightmare.
Who helps with the awards? Navigating the awards?
Usually what we do is we direct staff to the pay calculator on the Fair Work website and tell them what award they're under, which will usually be the construction award number 3. It'll be for whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, because that's the other one is no one, even I've been in recruitment and HR, and I normally bring in an expert to interpret an award.
Mm-hmm.
Again, because those things around your tools, our tools. If it's your tools, what's the allowance? If you're moving from site to site, what am I paying you? Is it our car, your car?
Yeah.
Those complexities, not just the wage, and then you've got the overtime, of course. You've got and what that overtime looks like Monday to Friday, what it looks like on Saturday and Sunday. So those pieces also start to be a little bit of a rabbit hole for companies that are going from the contractor to employee. So all I would say is if you're stuck and you can't get the answers on ATO website, is again engage a HR consultant. We've got some amazing HR partners that help with award interpretation.
Yep.
If you don't have it in your myriad of services that you've got, Andy, we're happy to sort of provide some assistance and support there, because you start with the wage, but then there's the allowance, and then there's the uniform, and then there's the vehicle and the equipment, and it can get like, okay, what do I need to supply? And the more you can get that before you start, then there's no surprises and go, I didn't pay the meal allowance, or they got safety boots and I didn't pay, and it can just be one of those areas where, it might not start with sleepless nights, but then if it starts to escalate, it can be really weighing on an employer's shoulders. So try to sort of learn or lean on an expert around those other pieces aside from just wage on the award when you're heading towards the employee scenario.
100%. Great advice. Yeah, fantastic. Maree, it's been great having you on today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Sharing. If anyone wants to find out more about Harvest HR, where can they find you?
Very easily, just go onto our website, harvesthr.com.au. I'm also on Facebook. Well, Harvest is on Facebook. We're on Instagram, and so if you follow us, you'll be able to get in touch very, very easily.
Wonderful. Thank you.